How is it going, everyone? It's Caleb here, and today we are going to be talking about a Game Boy Color game, that is extremely short, so I had to play through this game multiple times before I felt comfortable doing a review with it, because it's so short I couldn't just beat it once and do a review. I had to play through it many times. So the game we're going to be talking about today is Sesame Street Elmo in Grouchland. Now, I believe that there's a movie of this as well. This game is probably based off the movie, and this game is all about Elmo chasing his blanket. That is the whole point of this game. It is a 2D side-scrolling game where you are running through a few different levels, not a whole lot of them. You only have like 8 different levels, and you are running through the levels trying to get Elmo's blanket back, and that is the whole point of this game. And it is incredibly easy. And you can beat this game in less than 10 minutes. In fact, multiple times, I was actually starting to time myself to see how quick I could beat this game. I think the quickest I beat it was about 7 minutes. So I played through it many times. I was just like, alright, let's just do this, turn this into like a speed run. Let's see how quick I can beat this game. And yeah, so I played through it pretty quickly. And the messed up thing is that this actually isn't a terrible game. It's just unfortunately so short that I couldn't imagine being a kid and getting this back in the day, because I probably would have been extremely disappointed when I played it, for 10 minutes and then I realized that there was nothing left. It would have been kind of disappointing. But, as an adult, it's not a huge deal to me, especially because this is a pretty cheap game. I found it for $4, and for $4, it's not a huge deal. In fact, there's actually a lot of things I like about this game. The sprites and everything, the backgrounds, the level design, all that stuff is actually pretty well done. It's just very cutesy, very colorful, and I think they did a great job with the character sprites. That stuff looks great. The little screens that pop up and congratulate you at the end, and that set up the story and everything, those scenes look really good. There's like little pictures before the actual level starts, and those look pretty good as well. And like I said, the level design itself, just the backgrounds and everything, look really good. Really, they did a great job with the graphics. Graphically, this game looks really good for a Game Boy Color game. And they really took advantage of the fact that they could put the Game Boy games in color, and they definitely had a really good color palette for this game. So all that stuff is great. The actual gameplay isn't horrible. I mean, it's very basic. You can actually still die in this game. If you run into enough of the obstacles that can do damage to you, you can die. But you have multiple lives that you can keep getting. You can find hearts on the level to get more lives. You can heal. You can find these little, they're kind of like little shiny star looking things, and you can find them on the level, and if you pick those up, they'll actually give you health back. And the platforming in this game is pretty easy for the most part. There's only one level that is, I wouldn't even call it challenging, but has, I would say, a real risk of falling off. And it's just like one level where there's like these conveyor belts that you have to jump on, and there's a chance that you can fall off the conveyor and fall off into the trash can below, and then that'll start you at the beginning of the level. However, it's not like it really punishes you anyway, because right at the beginning of the level there's a heart that you can pick up, so you can just keep picking up the heart over and over and over again. So if you fall in the trash can, you can literally just start back at the level, pick up a heart, and it's like you didn't even lose one to begin with. So it's very easy. Again, it's a Sesame Street game. Of course it's going to be easy. But I think that just because it is a Sesame Street game doesn't mean that they should have taken the easy way out and made it so short. So this game definitely has no justifiable reason to be this short. I mean, less than 10 minutes is absolutely insane. But still, I will say, graphically, it's nice. Level design isn't too bad. It controls okay. I think that it's a little bit more slippery than I personally like, but it controls okay for what it is. And overall, it's not terrible for what it is. It's not good. I'm not going to say it's a good game, but it's not terrible either. It's somewhere in between. It's like a gray area, because you can tell that they put effort into the way it looks. They just put no effort into actually making it a game that had longevity or had any length to it whatsoever. So that's really where the negativity comes in. So, I will say the sound design is actually pretty good for this as well. The music and everything, all that stuff sounds pretty good. In one level, some of the levels are kind of different from each other as well, I will say. In one level, you pick up a fan, and you have to blow away stink clouds from Oscar the Grouch. He'll, pop up out of his trash can. You can blow him away, and then he'll start, peeking up out of his trash can, and it will also just give you, a higher platform to jump over. Then there's also a falling level. Like the second level, you're basically just falling and you're just controlling Elmo as he's falling through the air, and you're trying to collect, the little star things to get your health back. The star things also give you points as well, so you can get like points and try to keep track of your high score if you want. So you can do that while you're falling as Elmo. There's a minecart level where you jump in and you're actually controlling how fast the minecart goes, and you have to duck underneath some sharp rocks and stuff like that. So they have a few different ideas. There's even a boss fight level, which is interesting enough. You get to control fire hydrants, and you can shoot water out of these fire hydrants, and you can shoot them straight up in the air. And there's a chopper that's flying above you, holding Elmo's blanket, and you have to try to shoot the water up at the right time to hit it. And you have to hit it so many times, and it will eventually drop Elmo's blanket and go on to the next level. So they do give you some variety. Again, though, it just kind of falls flat when you realize that this game is less than 10 minutes long. But still, for what it is, again, it's not terrible. It's just way too short. It's just way too short. There's two different difficulties to play on. You can play on easy mode and hard mode. Easy mode and hard mode, the really only difference is the fact that hard mode feels like more obstacles, and also the ending on one of the levels is in a different spot. And the boss takes one more hit than he does on easy mode. And that's basically the only differences of the two modes. Everything else is pretty much exactly the same. So there's not a whole lot of differences. Just expect there to be more bad guys and more obstacles and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot of difference between them. Easy mode is very, very easy, and hard mode is also very, very easy. So you can play either one, and you're not going to have a problem getting through this game. So overall, what do I think about Elmo and Grouchland? Well, it's not a great game. It's not a good game. It's also, I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It definitely is on the lazier side of video games. Like, you can tell that this was probably just kind of like a quick cash grab. There's effort put into making the sprites and making the backgrounds and stuff, but then they just didn't want to make anything that was lengthy. So it definitely feels like a cheap cash grab, and that's unfortunate because I feel like if they would have made this, even if they just would have made this like a 30-minute long game, that would have gone a long way. I think I could have recommended it for that, but for a game that you can beat in, literally under 10 minutes, I just can't really recommend, If you just want to see a cutesy looking game, a game that is adorable and has really bright, colorful graphics on the Game Boy Color, and you don't care about its length, and you're fine with playing the same game over and over and over and over again. If you're fine with that, and you can find it for less than $5, that's not a terrible price for it. I'm happy that I found it for $4. I don't feel like I got ripped off for $4. At least I got to experience something different and get to play through it many times for this review. So I'm not upset with the fact that I spent $4 with it, but it's not something that I can easily recommend. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. This review might actually be longer than it takes to actually play through the game. So there we go. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.